Picture this: China's own ambassador in Delhi gets called a traitor, not by Indians, but by his own countrymen. His crime? Making it easier for Indians to get Chinese visas. The backlash got so intense that China's embassy had to step in and publicly defend India and its own diplomat from a wave of xenophobic content flooding Chinese social media. This is happening right when Beijing is trying to warm up ties with Delhi after years of border tension. So why is Chinese social media turning against its own government's outreach to India? What does this expose about the gap between Beijing's diplomacy and its domestic public mood? And can China actually control a narrative its own citizens refuse to accept? Here is what happened. Hong has been China's ambassador to India since May 2024, a veteran diplomat tasked with one clear job: rebuilding a relationship battered by the 2020 Galwan clash. Under his watch, Chinese missions in India ramped up visa processing significantly, issuing 2.80 lakh visas last year and over 85,000 more within the first months of this year, according to Shu's own written interview with the Times of India. That outreach triggered a backlash nobody in Beijing expected from Beijing's own citizens. Nationalist voices on Weibo turned on Shu directly, sampled the comments circulating according to the Strat News Global, and I quote, "The ambassador seems to have forgotten his actual job," unquote. Another calling his diplomatic work less valuable than sweeping streets. One particularly vicious post accused Shu of, again I quote, letting hundreds of thousands, even millions of Indian cockroaches flood into China, unquote, and claimed that he was destroying China by doing this job. What made this stranger still, China's usually aggressive social media censors, quick to scrub anything remotely critical of officials, let these posts stay up. This was not outrage that appeared from nowhere. According to research platform East is Red, a wave of false and misleading claims began circulating on Chinese social media, alleging Indians were flooding into China and that diplomatic missions were recklessly handing out visas. Some of this coincided with separate manipulated videos falsely claiming Singapore had been overrun by Indians, reinforcing old, ugly stereotypes about Indians behaving badly abroad. Self-styled patriotic influencers pushed this narrative hard, dressing xenophobia up as national pride. It became a genuine online storm, loud enough and sustained enough that Beijing's own state media felt compelled to respond directly. Here is where the story becomes genuinely unusual. On July 2nd, Chinese digital outlet The Paper published a commentary under the byline Xinping, a pseudonym Chinese state media typically uses to signal an official position, titled "How Should We View Recent Discussions Regarding India?" The commentary argued that the so-called patriotic pronouncements sweeping social media were, in its own words, clickbait masquerading as patriotism, spreading xenophobia and polluting a healthy online environment in a way that contradicted the open and confident mindset of a major power. Then came the truly unusual part. The Chinese embassy in India republished this commentary in full on its own website, a move diplomatic observers noted embassies almost never make with external opinion pieces. The mission had not reposted outside commentary like this in recent years. This was Beijing's own diplomatic arm publicly signaling that its citizens' online rage had gone too far and needed correcting. The embassy went further, pointing out that over 80% of visas issued to Indian nationals were business visas, meaning trade-driven travel that benefits the Chinese economy, not some uncontrolled influx. It acknowledged India's visa policy toward Chinese citizens remains comparatively restrictive, but one that turning the issue into an emotional campaign would only damage efforts to improve bilateral relations. This This episode exposes a genuine tension inside China's own system. Beijing's government wants stability with India right now. More trade, more travel, calmer optics along a border that's still not fully resolved. But years of state-encouraged nationalism, particularly around China's rivalries with the West and its neighbors, has created a domestic audience that does not easily distinguish between official policy shifts and reflexive hostility towards outsiders. When the state tries to reverse the temperature, its own citizens don't automatically follow. For India, this is worth watching closely for two reasons. First, it confirms that Beijing's charm offensive toward Delhi is a genuine, top-down political decision, not just posturing, strong enough that China was willing to publicly rebuke its own nationalist base to protect it. Second, it's a reminder that Chinese public sentiment toward India remains raw and easily inflamed, regardless of what official diplomacy says. Any future crisis, border incident or otherwise, could reignite this sentiment instantly, government messaging or not. For years, China projected India as a rival. Today, its diplomats are asking Chinese citizens to look beyond stereotypes. That is not an act of goodwill, it is an act of strategic calculation. When an embassy spends time correcting its own public instead of criticizing another country, it usually signals a larger policy objective. The real question is no longer why Chinese netizens attacked India. The bigger question is why Beijing believes defending India's image now serves China's national interest. Does this reveal a Chinese leadership more committed to stabilizing ties with India than a significant chunk of its own public? And if online nationalism can override official policy messaging this easily during peacetime, what happens to India-China relations the next time an actual border flashpoint reignites that same sentiment at scale?
The old rules are breaking. Alliances are shifting.
Apologize again to the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
Wars are redrawing maps. Oil routes can shake economies overnight. One election in America can impact markets in Mumbai.
No tax on tips.
One move by China can alter the balance in Asia. One conflict in West Asia can hit every Indian household. This is no longer a distant story. This is our story. Your story. Because for the first time in decades, India is not watching from the sidelines. India is rising. India is negotiating. India is balancing rivals. India is building military strength. India is shaping trade routes. India is becoming central to the new global order. And yet, most global news is still told through someone else's lens. Washington's lens, Beijing's lens, London's lens. But where is India's lens? Where is the platform that explains the world from our perspective? Welcome to India's Axis, a new destination for geopolitics, strategy and power seen through India's eyes. From Neighborhood Watch to the biggest global stories that matter to you. Why tensions in the Taiwan Strait matter to India. How one move by China can affect India's security. What turmoil in Pakistan means for regional stability. How Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan shape India's neighborhood. Why oil choke points can hit your wallet. How wars abroad can reshape India's security. This is not noise. This is not shouting. This is not recycled headlines. This is sharp, intelligent storytelling. Daily explainers. War room analysis. Strategic conversations. Because news is everywhere. But perspective is rare, and in the age of confusion, clarity is power. Axis is for the audience that wants more than headlines. The axis of global power is shifting. India is at the center of that shift. It's time the world was explained accordingly. To understand the world through India's strategic lens. Subscribe now.